Right. So in Java, it's good to know the difference between a statement and an expression. So the main difference, or I guess we can go left to right. A statement is usually said to be executed, while an expression is said to be calculated. But that's not the most important thing, right? So the main difference between a statement and an expression is that the validating expression has a result, right? So what does this mean really? So if we take a look at something like a is less than 10, here we kind of see that this is an expression because this will give us a result. And we talked about this, I guess. I don't know if we went over like the less than or equal to, but this will give us a Boolean. So obviously in this expression, let's say if a, for example, is, I'll go over here and I'll show you guys. So let's go in here. Let's create a conditional state. Oops. All right, so let's say, for example, if we have an int there, we try to see if it's less than, equal to, greater than a certain number, right? So what we can do is if you do something like, a is less than 10, for example, well, this is going to give us some sort of value back, right? A result or something, right? Because this is an expression. So what this is basically calculating is just kind of like the same idea of going here and in b is equal to, a plus 5, for example, right? So this a plus 5 is really an expression, right? Because it's giving us a result back. So this a plus 5 is going to give us 15, and then it's going to set it to b. So, and then a statement on the other side is kind of like, int c, for example. You're kind of doing like a statement. What you can also do is probably do some method calls. So if I have a bunch of different methods here, right? So if I have something like public void, or I guess after the static void, method, and it does some stuff. And then what I can go in here is I can go method, right? I can go and call it, and this would be a statement because it's kind of like I'm stating to do this thing where it's gonna run a whole bunch of different functions, or maybe it's gonna run a whole bunch of lines, right? And within these lines, you can have like expressions or statements, right? So okay, we talked about it. So we can do in C here, and then we can do in C is equal to, oops, I can't do that, right? So I can't have another variable called the same thing. What I'm meant to do is, C is equal to 10. So this is like an expression because it's giving us like a result. So why I went here when I was trying to kind of explain what, what expressions are. In this case, this is going to give us a result back. So whenever you're doing kind of like, I guess, not sure what I would call it, but something that will evaluate something. So a less than 10 will give us, kind of like a result back, right? So it's not gonna give us per se like a number or a string, right? It's gonna give us a true or false, right? So is a less than 10? Is that true or is that false, right? So in that case, I'll make it a little bit easier to understand. So is a less than 11, right? And when I print this out, it's gonna give me a true or false. So whatever this does, this is an expression, and then it's going to kind of give us a result, and then the system that auto print this. So if I go and run this, I may need to add a configuration, but oh no, nice, it does it automatically. Very nice. Give it a second to build. I am in a little bit of a slower computer today, so I'll have to excuse my build times. Wow, okay, so I guess I can zoom in here as well. Oh, nice. So we see that, kind of this A is less than 11, give us like a true. If we take a look at here, right? And this is what we printed out. Right, so this is kind of the difference in between an expression and a statement. So an expression will give us a result, whereas a statement is usually kind of like telling it to do something, but it's not really, an expression. You're not really expecting a result back. You're just doing something. And this result has a type, and it can be assigned to a variable or used in some other expression. Right, so a++, or sorry, not a, I++, right? We talked about this. I think in the first class when we talked about ints and operations that we can do on ints. So any like, dead mass operations. We said that, I++ is actually, it's not a statement, right? Because I++, it may look like a statement because we're telling it to kind of add, 1 to something, right? So loop int I, so it doesn't, yell at me. So we said that this is pretty much equivalent to I is equal to I plus 1, right? So if you think about it like this, right, if you kind of expand this in your head or you write it out, right, we can kind of see that it's an expression, right? It gives us some sort of result back. So this I++ is an expression as well. X is equal to 5, this is also an expression because it gives us a result back, right? So it gives us 5. If we set it to something, right, it's going to give us 5, right? Or whatever we set it to. A statement is more of a, we don't get a result back. So this is like the main difference that, you guys need to understand. It's just kind of words to know as you like, explaining something to someone or trying to understand something. It's good to know like the nomenclature of, programming words that we use on a daily basis.